Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing about the strong ties that Iran and India hold, not tens or hundreds of years, in fact, thousands of years back. Now, why are we in a discussion of the ties thousands of years back? Because those are the ties that shape the present and will shape the coming future. So what has happened is the reports are coming that the Indian flag carrier was actually attacked by the IRGC. Yes, basically by the Iranian military or the revolutionary guards as they call themselves. So that is what has been reported, subsequent to which a diplomatic, or you can say a response by the Iranian state is coming, saying that it respects Iran and India's ties, which go back 5,000 years ago. So Iran has sort of reassured its ties with its strong ties with India and hinting that long may will this continue. So let us understand what are the details of this attack, what actually happened, what are these ties, how far back they date with respect to what, all the things, and how do they shape the present and the future, especially the near future or the present scenario relationship. So what is the news all about? As I mentioned, the news is about the Iranian forces. What are they called? The IRGC, that is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Now, they have been reported to have fired on the Indian flagged tankers, namely Sanmar Herald and Jag Arnav. So these two Indian flag carriers have been reportedly fired upon by the RGC. Where? Of course, near the Strait of Hormuz. Now, because of this, the ship was forced to reverse its course. That means wherever it was moving, it was stopped and was forced, because of this firing, to reverse its basically movement. Now, why has been this done? This has been done in order to enforce a renewed blockade, a new blockade. Why are we calling this as a new blockade? Because the Strait of Hormuz, which was closed for the enemy nations, for US, Israel and its allies, but was open for friendly states, that is like India, right? For example, India, Russia and China. And afterwards it was closed again. But very recently there was a peace understanding, that up to peace talks were going on, but they failed. However, till 22nd of April it was supposed to be still open, but then it was alleged that USA has basically violated the ceasefire clause that is there. Not actual ceasefire of the entire war, but the conditions under which the Strait of Hormuz was to be opened up till 22nd, that was violated. So it was closed again. Now, when you are closing it again, you have to enforce it as well, as a result of which by force also it is getting enforced, the new blockade. In that, what has happened is, it is reported that Indian flagged ship has been fired upon. Now, what has been the diplomatic response from Iran? That is very important. So in the statement by Iranian representative, who is that? Abdul Majid Hakim Ilahi, he has mentioned that India and Iran's ties are unbreakable. Why are they unbreakable? Because they are not very recent. They go back over 5,000 years ago, and we have 5,000 years of shared history, as a result of which the ties are unbreakable. And Iran itself is not at all in favor of the war that is going on, and it is not doing anything to prolong the war. It is not in favor of the war. In fact, Iran was also attacked unprovoked. Iran did not provoke anyone, but still unprovoked, it was attacked by USA and Israel, and it still maintains that Iran does not favor war. So what kind of tone this is? A de-escalatory diplomacy is what is being used over here. And it can be a very intelligent move as well. Why? Because when your own nation's ship is attacked, of course you will also retaliate. So before you could retaliate, Iran itself is coming and in a very soft tone talking about the shared ties, etc., that are there, which is a diplomacy of de-escalation, trying to ensure that this attack does not escalate with India. So that is a very smart move as well, you can see. Now, why the Strait of Hormuz matters? Simply because 20 to 30% of the global oil trade is happening near or through this particular route. At its narrowest point, it is only 33 kilometers wide. So this is the Strait of Hormuz. This is IRGC's published route through Strait of Hormuz. It is saying that yes, you can take this route, but this route here is dangerous. You cannot go completely from here. Why? Because it will be away from Iran. Iran wants you to go closer from here so that it can dictate who can pass, who cannot. If you go through here, you may be attacked as well. Now, interestingly, previously the Strait of Hormuz was already open, right? But because of this US and Israel attack on Iran, what has happened is Iran is playing the war strategically and choking this point over here in order to create energy security issues so that the other nations can put pressure on US and Israel in order to stop this war. Let's move ahead. Let us see what is the impact on India. Now, India's LPG, of course, crude oil also, but specifically LPG, because majority of the LPG is also traded through this particular route. India imports approximately 85% of crude oil we import. This is the total, not only from Hormuz, this is the total. But if you talk about the LPG, so India has basically 90% of India's LPG import travels that are there, which travel through the Strait of Hormuz. However, the government is saying that the things are under control. So what's the reality as such? See, there have been shortages, there have been delays, the prices have skyrocketed, plus the people make it more difficult by black marketing, etc., is leading to an increased and inflated price of the LPG specifically. Now let's come to the India-Iran relation. So India-Iran has civilizational ties. This includes your cultural ties, linguistic, as well as trade linkages that has been there for thousands of years. Now, key areas of India and Iran cooperation have been the energy, the connectivity with respect to the Chabahar port that India itself was building in Iran to increase the connectivity. And India has always championed the cause of stability in the Middle East or the West Asia nation. However, there are constraints to the relation between us and Iran. What are the constraints? USA's sanctions on Iran. USA put secondary sanctions on Iran, stating that anyone who trades with Iran will also be punished through tariffs, etc. As a result of which, India had stopped importing crude oil from Iran. Then balancing ties with USA, Israel, and Gulf country is another challenge in front of India. Now, let us look at the strategic dimension of it. So, Iran's action that it is taking, it is basically linked to the regional tensions in West Asia, and it is doing so in order to exert control over the choke points, maritime choke points that are there. In all this, it is the IRGC, that is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that is playing an important role. They are the guardian of Iran's strategic interests, maritime choke point, that is the Strait of Hormuz being one of them. Now, they are involved in asymmetric naval tactics. Now, what is asymmetric naval tactics? See, for example, asymmetric naval tactics would mean that you have one navy over here and fighting the other navy over here. Let's say this navy is quite strong, you are not that strong. So what you do is you create an asymmetric war. Asymmetric war means you are attacking with cheap weaponaries, which would be stopped by a stronger military by using costlier equipment. So that creates a war asymmetry. How? Because your attack every day is costing you $1 million, but the defense of the powerful military is costing them $100 million, 100 times more. So that creates an asymmetry in the war itself. Now, let us look at the challenges that are there for India. So, India faces a challenge of navigating strategic autonomy and global alignment. What is, we have to be autonomous, taking our own decision, but we also need to see globally how we need to align ourselves, where we need to incline more, where we need to incline less, so on and so forth. We need to ensure our energy security as well as diversification. We need to protect our own shipping interests and avoid any entanglement or involvement in any conflict across the world, let alone the region wherein energy security is a big thing. So the way forward would be to diversify our oil imports, buying from Russia as well, focus on renewable energy, strengthen our own maritime security and cooperation, as well as enhance our role in the Indian Ocean region. We need to take a lead in this particular region going forward. Thank you.